Emmy. Ah! Kenji. Dueling. Don't drag me into this. I've done my part. Why am I being dragged into this again? I've done more than enough, I think. If you're angry with Lily, that has nothing to do with me. Now wait just a second. Are you implying that the president is more right in scolding me than yourself? Ah, damn, I think I could have worded that better. No, I don't know about that, but I mean... What are you saying, He-chan? It's just that I hardly think it's fair you can say that, seeing that I've helped you guys. The mood has changed. This is like a showdown between two gunfighters now. Well, it was like that before, too, but this time Shizune's focus is on me. And so is Lily's. Though she keeps quiet, I'm afraid I inadvertently pissed her off. Are you saying I'm wrong? What a dangerous situation. It's too early to argue with you. Yes, I think it's unfair of you to get on my case. He-chan, you want too much, but you have a point. Okay. You're not lazy, He-chan. Shizune pushes her glasses up with her thumb, almost approvingly. That's good. If you're not useless, you shouldn't let anyone say you are. But the next time I say it, it'll really be because you are disappointing me like Miss Class Representative here, so don't let it go to your head. Lily takes the jab silently, a venomous visage frozen on her face. Class Rep, Shi-chan says, don't forget that report, please. I won't. Would that be all? Yep. Then good day to you all. Her voice would cut the air of the classroom in half if it was more tangible. Lily leaves the room, understandably in a bad mood, but still managing to be as poised and calm as usual. Shizune, you really did go a little too far today. It's true, Shi-chan, just a little. If I had been expecting Shizune to grudgingly admit I have a point here as well, I think I was expecting too much. She doesn't respond. Shi-chan thinks you should mind your own business. He-chan, we have a few last-minute things to take care of before class. We might be late, so can you please cover for us? Yeah. Perfect. Yay. Okay, thanks, He-chan. They walk outside, even though there are only 10 minutes left before the bell will ring, signaling the start of class. Hanako doesn't come to the morning class at all, leaving her seat looking empty and lonely in the back of the classroom. I have to tell her that Lily was looking for her if I see her later. After the events of this morning, class is pretty boring in comparison. I turn the pages of my textbook lazily. We've been covering the same amount of pages each day, so reading ahead is more or less giving myself a preview of what tomorrow's lesson will be about. The clock at the front of the room sounds unbearably loud. The teacher hasn't said anything in over 7 minutes, instead opting to cover the board in rows and rows of equations taken directly from the book. The rhythmic clashing of chalk on the blackboard seems to synchronize perfectly with the ticking of the clock. I start to copy down the equations just to pass the time, not noticing Misha's head poking over my shoulder until she is almost on top of me. What are you doing? I try to strike a balance between being quiet enough not to draw attention to myself, but loud enough to draw hers. What are you doing, He-chan? Panic shoots through me as Misha starts talking at her normal volume, and I sputter out a hasty reply, still keeping my voice down despite the fact that she just blew any hope of being discreet I may have had. I'm copying down that stuff. What are you doing? Why so loud? Aw, really? But it's all in the book. That's why no one else is copying it down. I know. Why are you so loud? Why are you so quiet, He-chan? It's hard to hear you. I look around to see if anyone is noticing our conversation, and it's pretty obvious that everyone has, even the teacher. Shizune smiles coyly, and I start to wonder if Misha is doing this because she told her to. Is it because of what happened between her and Lily earlier? This is what I get for trying to be reasonable, for trying to take the middle path. Shizune is way too prideful, although by now I should know to expect that kind of behavior from her. Why are you doing this? Huh? Misha is totally oblivious to the awkward stare that the teacher is giving both of us, while trying to balance her textbook on one finger. For a brief second, it looks as if things could get ugly, but the teacher simply looks away, as if it's not worth the trouble. I guess this is a good thing, and I slump back into my seat in relief. The rest of the day passes uneventfully, and this time I'm able to appreciate that it does. When the bell rings, I'm not in a hurry, so I stay for a while, reviewing what we covered in class today. I prefer to leave last anyway, so I don't have to deal with crowding in the hallways. I notice Shizune and Misha have also stayed behind, talking to someone from another class. Okay, so Hanako shows up looking for Lily. They say maybe she's slacking off. Hanako nods quickly and retreats with haste. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, we are really working hard to make the festival happen. And driving other people insane along the way. Well, good luck with that. I stand up to leave, making my exit before either of them manages to berate me anymore for slacking off. The halls are somewhat quiet, as expected. Everyone must be in club meetings or at festival preparations, or both. Shizune's words about being a slacker echo in my head. I feel a bit guilty about not contributing, but I seem to lack the resolve to do something concrete about the matter. For the festival, it's too late already unless I count helping Shizune and Misha, which I naturally don't, and the clubs, I don't know. Maybe I'm not really a club type of person. Halfway through the way from the old school building to the dorms, I spot a figure in front of the dorms. It's Rin. It looks like she's working on her mural today, too. I walk over to her, but she doesn't seem to notice me approaching. She's sitting on an upturned book, looking intently at the wall she's painting with a brush held between her toes. The mural has progressed considerably since yesterday, but it's still only half done as far as I can tell. More colors have appeared, and the twisted human-like figures have spread and increased in number. I have to say the style is quite eye-catching and very unique, not that I would be knowledgeable about art by any measurable scale, but it's very nice-looking nonetheless. I clear my throat to get her attention, but not startle her so that her concentration won't break. Wait. She doesn't even turn to check who it is. I'll wait. 15 minutes later, I decide that her concentration is indeed unbroken, and also that I have waited long enough to warrant poking her gently on the shoulder to remind her of my presence. Rin turns her head mechanically to my direction, ending up staring at my crotch level. Oh, it's Isao. She can tell? I would feel a lot less uncomfortable if she would look at my face. An astute observation. Hard at work, I see. The conversation starts as if I hadn't been here for a quarter of an hour already, but it's not a concern. At least it starts. Looking good. It does. The layers of the paint hiding other layers of paint, mixing and shaping the human figures, really creates an impressive look, but Rin looks miffed. You shouldn't comment on works in progress. 7 years of bad luck. Sounds terrible. I guess I'll take it back then? Still, it looks good. I wonder if I get 14 years of bad luck for thinking that. Rin turns back to look at her painting and pokes it with a big toe. Could you mix some of this color? I'm running out of it. She looks down at a half-empty bowl with the remains of some pinkish paint in it. I didn't really intend to stay and help her with this project, though. I guess I didn't intend to do anything much. I look at Rin. She looks emptily back at me. Just this once. Rin picks up another brush and drenches it in another tone of pale red. There are dozens of similar bowls all around her working area. From the looks of this scene, she could have been sitting there for hours. I wonder if she has. That would mean she'd have been skipping school, though, which I, of course, wouldn't put beyond someone like Rin. I pour a little bit of white and red into the bowl, trying to match the color with the one already on the wall. I can't seem to get it right. It's really inconvenient of her to not mix enough in the first place. Getting it to be exactly the same tone will be impossible, but at least I can try to get as close as I can. Speaking of hard work, isn't that a huge workload for you too? It's such a big painting and all. Oh, I'm not old and bitter enough yet to think like that. I guess you aren't. You guessed right. Legs hurt though, they feel like slugs. Slugs made of sea slugs. Because of the position? Yeah, I like doing it in a horizontal position more, if you know what I'm talking about. But it can't be helped. I can't ask the wall to lay down. Saying that, she stretches herself a little, bending her legs back far more than a human should flex. It's astonishing how effortlessly she manages her body around. There's a small flinch in her otherwise blank expression, a hint of pain maybe, as she stretches out her calves. Rin must have stamina and dexterity far above a normal person to be able to live like she does, but she's wearing out working on this. Why push yourself so much? Take a break or something at least. Continue tomorrow if it's bad. This gives her a pause. A long one too, feeling like a mental yawn. I don't think so, Hisao. I'm not pushing myself. Sure looks like you are. No, it's not about pushing or pulling or anything related to that kind of thing. There's this boy. A boy? Yes. Where? At the art club. And? He is blind. Oh, how can you paint if you're blind? No idea. So why is he there? That's the point. He is there. She really should speak more than one word at a time to make this feel more like a discussion and less like an interrogation. He can't really do anything that you'd call art, right? But he comes there anyway and paints. Why? I don't know. Why? I don't know. That's why I asked. So? He doesn't paint often, but I think his paintings are very interesting. I'm sure they are. I once tried that, painting with eyes closed. Wasn't too interesting, and cleaning up the floor took ages. Didn't try again. But he is becoming better at sculpting. I see. Maybe she was trying to make a point with this. Maybe she forgot that she had one. It seems like the art club is full of interesting people. Not really. Pretty blunt statement, and she totally missed the sarcasm. No? Just like I said, they're not very interesting. I usually don't have much interest in people who are not interesting. Maybe you have. Maybe. But that boy is interesting. Maybe I am like that boy. Or maybe you are. Maybe everyone is. Doing things you can't do just because you can. That's pretty deep, I think, and tell that to her. You're a deep one. I'm a really shallow and thoughtless person. People say that to me all the time. Did you know I can only think of 4 things at the same time? No, but now I do. Right now I'm thinking of the second floor girls' toilet, ice cream flavored ice cream, the middle toe, and a haircut. I'm going to need a haircut. She shakes her head around vigorously, letting her short and messy hair ruffle wildly around. I can see that doing it is something that she likes to do. We fall silent as Rin treads around absent-mindedly, poking some brushes around. The thought about the art club sticks in my head for a while longer. I'm feeling like I'm treading on very unknown territory with art. The way these meetings with Rin go, it's as though I'm starting a smoking habit or something. I should probably stop talking with her. It's not that I dislike her, despite the confusion being herself causes. And I don't dislike art either. I've even drawn for fun sometimes. I just don't have a real creative drive or any technical skill. So usually, if I were to draw something, I get white paper syndrome and just freeze completely. That, or I manage to draw something disfigured and promptly get frustrated at my ability to put the picture in my head down on the paper and then call it quits without really trying to make an effort. Rin clearly doesn't have this problem, but she frustrates me in another way. Being with her is like looking into a mirror that doesn't reflect anything. It makes one question the sanity of the act. Rin sits down on her box, swaying from side to side, apparently comfortable with the uncomfortable silence. She's staring at me again, or maybe over my shoulder. I can't quite figure out where her eyes are focused. I'm thinking of leaving so she can carry on working undistracted, and that I can do whatever I'm going to do alone. It's not like I have anything that must be done today. Oh, shoot. Who? Nobody. I just forgot to tell Hanako that Lily was looking for her. Do you know her? From my class? Oh, her. The mystery toilet girl? That person is funny. I saw her going to the toilet 5 times during one recess 3 weeks ago. I'm sure it's the world record. It was very mysterious. And that's why you call her mystery toilet girl? What other reason could there possibly be? Well, if there is, it's an eternal mystery. I didn't follow her in there. Maybe it was the week before that. Could have been. Looking at her makes me hungry. Don't say that. At least not around her. Rin turns to look at me blankly, as if she's not sure why I reproved her. But she doesn't acknowledge understanding any more than before, so I give up at this point. So, do you want to go eat dinner then? No, not yet. Rin has turned her hungry gaze back to the wall, looking slightly more energetic, or at least slightly less lethargic than she did before. It's as if the wall is an opponent she has to vanquish, something she must overcome before she can indulge in dinner. This is the feeling that I get. A weird sense of empathy overcomes me and makes me smile a little to myself. For all her oddities, Rin is pretty cool after all. I'll be going anyway. Have fun. Rin has already grasped a brush and is dipping it into fresh paint, so of course she can't hear me anymore or doesn't answer anything, even if she does. Adhering to the nurse's nagging voice in the back of my head, I set my alarm clock to wake me up early enough to go jogging again. I made a promise and I'm gonna keep it. Besides, Emmy's bound to rat on me if I don't show up. But it's not all that bad. Katawa Shoujo. Take it easy.
Will I be able to do more? Take it easy. I let Emmy go with her own pace, and she doesn't show any mercy, pulling half a lap ahead of me in an instant. I don't blame her. I mean, it's not as if I'm really putting up any sort of real fight out here, is it? Instead, I'm just running at a steady pace, which is what I should be doing, right? There's no need to go pushing my limits at this stage of the game. God, is this even worth it? As we finish the second lap, I break off again. Emmy keeps going, and it almost seems to me that she's disappointed. Well, that's stupid. I don't have anything to prove to her. Come to think of it, I've got nothing to prove to myself, either. I'm just fine the way I am. And what I'm not is a runner. This was probably a bad idea. Maybe there's something else I can do instead of this. Getting up this early sucks anyway. There's gotta be some other way to keep healthy. Walking, maybe? Nice afternoon walks? Yeah, that sounds good. Running isn't for me. I wave to Emmy and head back to my room. I'll think of something else later. Back in my room, the first thing I see is the familiar row of medication bottles lined up on top of my dresser, and it makes me depressed, as usual. It's annoying. I thought I was okay. I thought I had made peace with this thing, gotten over it. But what I really did, I allowed myself to forget that I have a problem. Being here really reminds me of the reality, and trying to fight against it just hurts. Reflecting on it is only going to do so much. I've done this before, for months. It seems like it's time to get over it. If I allow myself to forget that my life is definitely not going to be as long as those of others, I won't get anywhere. My life may be different from others, but it is a life in progress. That is how I'll rationalize it. I down the usual handful of pills, trying to push the sudden dreary feeling out of my head, and then I prepare to head out to class early, as usual. As I step into the hallway, I notice Kenji coming around the hallway corner, stealthily making his way over to his own room with a large bag. As he sneaks past me soundlessly like a ninja hiding in plain sight, I call out to him. Hey. He jumps at the sound of my voice. Oh, hey man, I didn't notice you there. I'm really tired. I think it's more like he didn't see me, but that's not the issue. Where have you been this early? Shopping? Nah, I wasn't shopping. Sometimes I have to visit the math teacher. Yeah, I figured it was a good idea to find out when the next exam is, since he tells you in advance if you want. So then what's in the bag? I thought I'd go shopping while I was outside. I need supplies to continue the fight against the vast feminist conspiracy. Okay. I thought you didn't go outside. I wear a hat now. I decide not to point out that he's not wearing a hat. An awkward silence settles between us, and then Kenji breaks it by pushing his door open slowly, releasing a creaking sound into the air that only makes the moment seem more awkward. He sets the bag down inside his room and then closes the door. I'm surprised you went out of your way to find out a test date. Trying to take advantage of an opportunity to study is pretty diligent. I never study. Oh, I need to know so I know what day I can't afford to skip class. He usually sends out updates on that crap by phone, so I had to step out and check up on it. And why do you have to go out when you can get it on your phone?
I don't carry a phone. What do you mean you don't carry a phone? You mean you just leave it at home? Nah, I don't use phones. I don't have a phone. Phones? I have no phone. Why don't you have a phone? How can you not have a phone? No phone at all? None? I just don't like phones. Actually, I'm kind of scared of them. I don't know why. I think it's some kind of repressed trauma. But basically, when I hear a phone, I get nervous. It's my darkest secret. I have two theories on it. Either I have some fear of receiving some undefined, ominous, life-altering doom call, or I was beaten with a phone in the past. Beaten so badly I can't remember it. Beaten in the head? Well, where else could I get beaten with a phone so that would make me unable to remember it? The ass? Unexpectedly logical. I feel very depressed now. Sensing this conversation is more or less over, Kenji opens his door again and prepares to head inside. Yeah, I'm going to sleep, dude. Have a good one. Class is gonna start in like 20 minutes. I already did something today. Too tired to go to school. Hey, you need some lip balm? I accidentally bought two because I thought the store had started selling individual AA batteries. Thanks, but no thanks. Whatever, man. He swiftly enters his lair, finally letting me go to class. For a change, I'm not among the first ones to come to morning class. Instead, almost everyone else seems to be here already. I recognize most of my class by their faces by now, though the names escape me still. The class goes on lazily. I think I'm starting to get into the rhythm of the school. I've even stopped worrying about taking notes and being overtly attentive. The first days I was pretty high-strung in class. Yuto finishes his lecture about electricity early, but continues without a pause about the festival. So, as you know, the festival is on the day after tomorrow. I hope everyone's projects are going to be successful this year. Have a good time, but also come Sunday, please keep the meaning of this festival in your minds. Okay, skip. Hisao! I am gonna make you a one-time only, super extra special lunch offer. Emmy's homemade lunch boxes, and the privilege of enjoying them in private with two bombshell beauties. Her overly flirtatious sales pitch echoes in the hallway, a remarkable feat since it's full of people. Emmy strikes a very confident-looking pose, as though as an attempt to one-up her own ridiculousness, puffing her very modest chest and making the V for victory sign with her hands. Sounds delicious. To what do I owe this honor of being invited? You stood there looking really lost and sad, so I thought you could use some company. That is probably the most depressing reason imaginable. So how about it? You're probably really lonely and would eat that awful cafeteria food alone otherwise. I'm kidding. Sure, I'll have your lunch offer. With pleasure. Let's go to the roof. The roof? Why the roof? Because that's where we eat lunch. And if I don't get up there, then she'll probably wander off, and then I just know she'll go hungry because she never picks up a lunch for herself. Who will? Who will? Come with me. Without answering my question or waiting for a response, she grabs me by the arm and drags me through the hallways. I attempt to make conversation on the way. Why do you have an extra lunch? Emmy smiles guiltily. Actually, it's yesterday's lunch. I slipped in a run at lunch and forgot to eat it. Huh. The stairway to the roof is a little dilapidated, but it's clearly been used recently. At the top of the stairs is a door, complete with missing padlock. I wonder who the intrepid individual was that removed the lock. Emmy shoves the door open and steps beaming into the sunlight. Suddenly, a tall, dark stranger appears out of nowhere, standing imposingly in front of us. Emmy flinches back, almost falling back down the stairs. Hello. Eek! Yikes, you scared me, Rin. Wait, isn't she? Hello. Noticing that Rin is speaking to me, Emmy looks curiously at me. You two know each other? I look confusedly at Emmy. She's that friend of yours? Rin has turned her gaze towards the clouds drifting above the school. I didn't know you knew this person, Emmy. The awkward silence lasts only for a few seconds until Emmy lets out a tiny giggle, shrugging the coincidence off. I invited Hisao for lunch. If you know him, that's just better. Oh, does this mean I don't get food, or did you invite him for lunch without the lunch? Neither. I have food for 3. Nice thinking. They walk to the other end of the roof while I stay at the clock tower for a while, taking in the atmosphere. There's nobody else but us here. I guess the roof is not as popular as it is in other schools. A few run-down benches and tables scattered around the edges, perhaps in an attempt to make the rooftop look less desolate. The small pebbles covering the roof rattle beneath our feet. I peek through the chain-link fence to take a look at the school grounds and beyond. Students are strolling, in pairs and groups, around the quadrangle and at the cafeteria. A few delivery trucks are driving past the school towards the convenience store nearby. Somewhere a watchdog barks at a passerby. Somehow, when I look towards the town center, the small town feel strikes me very strongly, almost palpably. The hectic lifestyle of a big metropolis seems so far away and foreign here. No one has to run to catch a bus like their life depended on it, or get their senses overloaded by the neon lights and traffic jams. I feel surprisingly optimistic about this new life of mine, looking at my new hometown, even if it's going to be mine for only one short year. Finding out about my illness and having to move away from home all came so suddenly I haven't had time to think how I feel about it. When I step out of the shadow of the clock tower to the open, I feel warmth touching my back. The sun shines from a perfectly clear cerulean sky. A cool breeze sweeping over the rooftops makes me shiver, but only briefly. The wind carries the scent of trees and flowers, not smog and car exhaust like it used to just a few weeks ago. Emmy settles on a bench with Rin in tow and produces one bag and 2 small lunch boxes from her bag. Come on, Hisao, what are you waiting for? She's beckoning me to join them, making room on the already small bench. I seat myself on the corner of the bench to take as little space as possible. It's pretty cramped, but somehow all 3 of us fit on it. Impressive view. Emmy suppresses a giggle and places a lunchbox in front of Rin and hands another lunchbox to me. Here you go, lunch, as promised. Homemade, no less. I'm impressed. Wow, this looks really good. Thanks, I make it myself when I can. Conversation dies off as I set about the business of feeding myself. Taking a few bites, I glance up and notice Rin deftly opening the lunchbox and popping a fork full of food into her mouth using only her feet. Even though I've seen it before, I can't help but be impressed at her dexterity. It's also a reminder of the sort of place I'm in right now. Will I ever get used to sights such as this? I can't decide if getting used to such a thing would be a good thing or a bad thing either. Does getting used to this place mean that I'm giving up on being a normal person? Or does it just mean that I'm becoming more understanding about those around me? I'm distracted from my thoughts by the sight of Emmy tearing into her lunch as if it had insulted her ancestors. You seem pretty hungry. Emmy looks up, mouth half full, and swallows before nodding. My morning run always works up an appetite. Which is great, because then I burn through the lunch pretty quickly. It helps me keep my girlish figure. What would happen if you'd lose it? Would you become a man? I very nearly choke on my lunch, trying not to laugh. It's a figure of speech. Does your figure have to run in the mornings too? Do you always talk like this? Talk like what? I think that answers my question. Never mind. So, I struggle to think of small talk and settle on the obvious question. How'd you 2 meet? Rin seems content to let Emmy answer this question. Someone in the housing department thought that we'd complement each other well, so we were assigned rooms next to one another. Complement each other? Like shoes and a suit. Huh? Emmy giggles at my confusion. Put us together and we've got all our limbs. Get it? Ah. So I started helping Rin get ready in the mornings, and that was that. I mean, you can't help someone get dressed every morning and not get along. I see. Rin chooses this moment to interject. I have trouble with shirts. Right, that seems fairly obvious. Really? Kind of. This isn't helping, but at least Emmy seems to find the whole thing funny. That, combined with the fact that Rin is genuinely curious, makes me feel slightly better and yet confused. I mean, you've got no arms. So, putting on a shirt seems like one of those things that would be difficult. You know what? I'm going to just stop talking now. It'll save me a lot of trouble in the long run. Rin nods in what I suspect is meant to be a sage manner. I see. The conversation dies as I turn my attention back to my lunch. It's really quite good. Emmy finishes her lunch first and makes a contented noise. Ah, that was good. As she busies herself with cleaning up her lunch, Rin speaks up. I'm thirsty. Oh, I almost forgot about that. Sorry. With a flourish, she reaches into her bag and removes a trio of juice boxes. She tosses me one that appears to be cranberry juice, one to Rin that appears to be some kind of strawberry milk, complete with pink color scheme, and keeps an equally pink box of some kind of fruit punch for herself. Rin dexterously stabs her straw through the top of her box and begins to drink. I am once again impressed by how flexible she is, but this time I keep my comment to myself. Somehow I don't think either Emmy or Rin are the sorts of people to think twice about the way they work around their particular disabilities. Rin especially so. Indeed, she gives off the impression of being entirely unaware that she's missing any limbs at all. Whether or not that's a conscious decision is another matter. I'm honestly not sure. So, Hisao, how do you like it up here? It's quite nice, actually. I like high places for the view. Thanks for inviting me up here. And for the lunch, too. Emmy grins a 1,000-watt grin, pleased by my response, I suppose. No problem. Feel free to eat with us next time, too, okay? I won't make you a lunch, but you can bring your own up here. No lunch service? I don't know. Emmy looks mock offended, trying to take advantage of my good nature. The nerve. She giggles. Well, if that's your answer, I guess Rin and I will just keep eating lunch all alone. I'm suddenly assaulted by the most heart-rending puppy dog eyes I've ever seen as Emmy pouts. Kidding, I was kidding. I'd love to eat lunch up here again. Good location, and the company's okay too. Emmy frowns a bit at my declaration of okay, but seems happy enough that I've accepted her invitation. I guess this makes us friends now. Or at least acquaintances. The lunch bell rings, signaling a return downstairs. Rin, you didn't finish your lunch again. I wasn't that hungry. If you don't eat more, you're gonna fade away. Rin shrugs, as if this is an acceptable risk. Come on, we'd better get going. The three of us head down the stairs together.